We heard the two worst words you can hear with regards to a pitcher leaving a game due to forearm tightness.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian.
At least it's FanDuel Friday.
That's true. That's true. That means we don't have to talk that much about the Yankees getting swept out of Canada. See, we don't have to spend that much time on it. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We are already in the 9,090s. We are only like 7 subscribers away from 9,100 already. So
yeah, at this rate, we're going to be hitting 10,000. I'll go into that fancy restaurant before the season ends.
Yeah. So thank you guys for that. So yes, if you are subscribed to our channel, like our videos, hit the bell so you know when our videos go up. We also have a TikTok page. Follow us there at LockedOn_Yankees. Coming up on today's show, previewing the second half of the Subway Series, which will be in Queens. It's going to be great. And it's Fan Mail Friday. But first, we have to discuss briefly. Oh, my God. I really cannot believe that this team went to Canada for 4 games. This is the first time the Blue Jays have ever swept the Yankees in 4 games. Went up to Canada and did what they did. The manager shouldn't even be on the plane home. He will be, but he shouldn't be.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from the Blue Jays because they played well and they were clearly up for this series, but this to me has more to do with the Yankees just not performing. It's more about the Yankees playing terrible in this series and the Blue Jays playing well. It in part feels like a statement series to me, Stacey. It feels like if the Yankees don't pick it up, this is when things turned when you look back on the season. Because they looked lifeless throughout this entire series. And in the 4th game, which you really didn't think much of because they already lost 3 games in this series. They're just trying to steal them before they go back for the 4th of July series. And they leave with an injury to a key piece of their roster. So nothing went well in this trip to Toronto. It was as bad as humanly possible. And it's hard to envision a lot of ways you could pick yourself up from a moment like this. This is pretty bad.
This is I don't want to say it's season ending, but it is season changing. And like you said, it's not just that they got swept in 4 games. We heard the 2 worst words you can hear with regards to a pitcher leaving a game due to forearm tightness.
Yep. Yeah, you could switch forearm with elbow or shoulder, and it's just as bad. But other than that, that's as bad as it humanly gets. And that's what the news is on Clark Schmidt. There is no word on what is going to happen. I'm sure he'll be going over testing in New York as soon as they're back. But yeah, he left the game with elbow tightness and with forearm tightness, and left the game, by the way. We didn't really have a word on it when he left the game either. He kind of just disappeared from the clubhouse and from the locker room. So, this is really a bad sign for the Yankees. This is really a bad sign for Clark Schmidt, especially as he's been playing really well, coming off of a year where he came in injured to begin with. You got to feel bad for Clark Schmidt. And again, it just resulted in this series. Another game where they were in it. They were in it. They were scoring runs. They were, quote unquote, trying their hardest and everything. And then it just, again, it blows up on you late. Bullpen gives it up because they're completely gassed and you wind up getting another loss.
Yeah, just one quick thing before we move on to Fan Mail Friday. Luke Weaver this season, in his first 21 games, 0 home runs in 79 batters faced. In his last 9 games, 5 home runs in 39 batters faced.
I'm starting to think they might have brought him back from that injury a little too soon. Either he felt the pressure of it or they felt the pressure of not having enough bullpen arms. But it started to feel like he might have come back a little too soon from that injury. It felt like he was coming back a little too quick when he came back.
Yeah. So Yankees get swept. You can't really say more than that. You really can't.
No, it's as bad as possible.
Yeah, so we're going to move on to Fan Mail Friday because you guys did a fantastic job asking questions, both insiders and YouTube. If you're new to the show, we do Fan Mail Friday every week. And every week we start with our Locked On Yankees insiders. We will tell you how to get into the Insiders Club once this segment ends. And we always start Fan Mail Friday with a question from Betty. Betty says, in a dream world where management acts with intelligence for a change, moving Jazz to second and trading for a third baseman, would you choose Suarez, Arenado, or McMahon?
So we can't get Betty's permission right now, but I'm going to ask you on behalf of Betty, can I add someone to this list of names?
I don't think Betty would mind.
Okay. Well, my name that I'm going to add is Yon Moncada. He's someone that I would go after. I would love for him to be in this spot. I think he has something to prove and would like to play in a bigger market with a little more flashes on him and a little more light shine on him. I think the White Sox are probably urgent to move him and to get something back for him too. So that is a move that I would be after. We discussed this yesterday, Stacey. I don't believe Arenado is being shopped anymore. I don't think he's available. Apparently this makes as little sense as anything humanly possible, but this is what I heard on a radio show earlier today from a very trustable source. Rockies ownership is very involved in who they like when they watch their baseball games and who they don't like when they watch their baseball games. And McMahon is one of those guys Rockies ownership loves. And they have no plan on moving him, even though the Rockies general manager would like to move McMahon. Rockies ownership has told him under no circumstance do you move McMahon. So I don't think McMahon's going anywhere. And Suarez could be moved. I'd say he could be moved. I think it'll take a lot, though. And it'll probably take a lot more than what Brian Cashman is willing to spend on. Plus, if you think this season is going nowhere, if you think they're falling apart and they're not just a third baseman away from winning a championship, you can't give up a Spencer Jones in that scenario. The only reason those top prospects are traded, Stacey, is if you think the player you're acquiring lifts you up to winning a World Series. Right now, with the way they're playing, I think they're more than a third baseman away from winning a championship.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think it's worth trading a top prospect. I don't. Let's go to David F. He says, in light of the new Hall of Fame voting process, do you believe there's a path for Clemens and Rodriguez to eventually be inducted, or are they likely to remain on the outside looking in?
I don't know. I really don't. I don't know how. I mean, they should be in. It's ridiculous that they're not at this point, considering all of the nonsense that the Hall of Fame is allowing to happen anyway. So I don't know.
I think I can answer for both of us here, Stacey. I think we're both in what's now becoming not the minority anymore of people who are just tired of the Hall of Fame conversation. The Hall of Fame has done itself so much damage that neither of us and a lot of baseball fans care to debate it anymore. It's not a debate that Alex Rodriguez and Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I think they've done enough damage to themselves at this point where if they get in, great. And if they don't, we still acknowledge those guys are all-time greats. They got A-Rod's bat in the Hall of Fame, Barry Bonds' batting gloves in the Hall of Fame, Pete Rose's cleats have been in the Hall of Fame forever. You know, it's a museum celebrating those guys. They're plaques on in a hallway. That's it at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so Eric S. actually asked 2 questions, and then he changed it to this. So it says, changed my question. Are the Yanks hurting their chances of signing Jazz with this stupid third base move? Also, in my humble opinion, release DJ LeMahieu and Stanton if he doesn't hit in the next 3 weeks, and call up Bebas.
This is when Yankee fans get a little too crazy for their own good. They're not getting rid of Giancarlo Stanton. They're not releasing him. There's too much pedigree there. There is. And Stanton actually has hit pretty well since he's been back. He's not hitting home runs, but he's hit pretty well. He's on base a lot. Also, to the first part, is this hurting their chances of signing Jazz? No, I don't think so. I think Jazz loves it here.
Yeah, he likes it here.
I think he likes being Yankee, so I don't think it hurts their chances at all, to be honest. Let's go to Tim. Tim says, clearly the Yankees need to improve their defense up the middle, especially. What could the Yankees do?
Move Jazz back to second.
Feeding off the last question, and it makes a lot of sense, Stacey. I mean,
move him back to second. It's ridiculous. You can have Peraza play third. I don't care that Peraza can't hit water off a boat. No, I'm going to say this. I don't care that Peraza can't hit. I need Vulpi to start hitting. I need Wells to start hitting. Peraza can do the flashy defensive thing. I don't care if we have a third baseman who can't hit but can play third base, and then you have the person who naturally plays second base at second base.
Can I ask a FanDuel Friday question? Did you have a problem with Boone's comments of not wanting to flip-flop Jazz and Peraza today? Because people had a lot of problems when the lineup came out that Jazz wasn't at second base and Peraza was at second base. Did you have, because I personally didn't have a problem with it.
But I had a problem with the comment because it seemed so weird to me. Like, the wording of it just seemed odd to me. And it just seems funny because he's like, oh, I can't really flip-flop them, blah, blah, blah. But you have Ben Rice playing first base, catcher, or DH, depending on how you feel. You have Bellinger going from right field to left field to center field. Like, so what the hell's the big deal if you're going to switch these guys around the infield?
The problem with the comment that he made is it's inconsistent with the way that he's handled the rest of the roster.
Yes, like I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was only that. But there's evidence to back up that he doesn't have a problem moving other people around. So it's just silly to me.
That's why it's a bother to me. But overall, when people had a problem with, well, Jazz's position this year should be second base, so why isn't he there? That I didn't have a problem with. Unless Jazz is going to be playing second base primarily because there was an injury to LeMahieu, it makes more sense to keep him at third while he's consistently playing there every day than to move him to second for one day. That makes no sense. But Peraza's the guy that can be flip-flopped around the infield. Jazz needs to play in a consistent spot all day. So I don't have a problem with
he needs to play at second consistently.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Second.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if you're consistently going to play him at third, you can't move him to second for one day.
No, I know, but he needs to consistently play at second is my point. Because
not disagreeing at all.
He should not be at third. I can't. These people are driving me crazy. And I don't want to be this type of podcaster. But after watching this team for the past month, listening to this manager with his nonsense, listening to Aaron Judge being like, oh, yeah. No. And there's a question in segment 2 about Judge, which I won't spoil it, but it's going to be an interesting discussion. So before we end the segment, let's do this question. This is actually from June 17th. I thought maybe we could get to this in a segment, but then I realized this would actually work better as Fan Mail Friday, so I'm bringing it back. This is from Matt V. Washington's Kyle Finnegan would be a great addition to the bullpen. What do you think he'd cost? He's on a 1-year deal worth $6 million.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I've actually heard a lot more reports that the Yankees are interested in Jake Bird out of the Rockies bullpen. He's got great numbers. Apart from, I can't give you an exact prospect pool of what it's going to cost, but I do think it'll be a pretty expensive market for relievers. They are predicting that it'll be an expensive market for relievers. There's not a lot that are necessarily out there. So, I mean, from a Rockies perspective, you hope that their owner isn't in love with Jake Bird because then there's a chance that they would trade him. Regardless of that, the Yankees, while they need a bullpen arm, do have bullpen arms. So you can't, you're playing in dangerous waters if you're going to give up a lot for a guy in a position that you kind of do have enough guys at. Yeah. So they're going to do it at their price. And unfortunately, I don't think their price is going to meet what the Nationals want or what the Nationals are going to be offered from other teams.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. And if you'd like to be part of next week's Fan Mail Friday, you can go to our YouTube channel's page, click on posts, and leave your questions under the Fan Mail Friday post. As I said at the top of the show, you guys did a really great job on YouTube. Insiders, as usual, you also did a good job. You can ask us anything. And if you want to join the Insiders Club, where you get top priority on Fan Mail Friday, the link is in the description. And it isn't only for Fan Mail Friday. You get text from us with everything from lineups to roster updates, injury updates, trades, signings, and you can text us questions and reactions to the game because, this past series gotten a lot of reactions to the games. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up next, more Fan Mail Friday questions.
We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with all their killer last-minute deals. Think about all the greatest concerts that you've ever been to. Wouldn't it be better to have them for 60% off cheaper than you normally would pay pay for your concert ticket. That's what Gametime can provide you with. And if you're worried about what happens with plans changing, the Gametime guarantee has your back with cancellations and protection and more. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And not only do we cover your team every day, but now we're giving you instant episodes after every single game. You guys can check out the Locked On Yankees Postcast. It's hosted by Jay Berman right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed, as well as streaming on our YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees Postcast. Stacey, speaking of that YouTube channel, that is the YouTube channel with almost 9,100 followers now after we read about 8,900 followers about 2 weeks ago. But Yankee fans like us kind of love their misery. We're all a little bit of masochists here, and we love when the Yankees play bad. So I guess we're people are subscribing and people are enjoying our content. We're going to keep posting it as long as they play good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah, our last two videos combined over 12,000 views, which is like playoff numbers. So yeah, it's a funny juxtaposition in a way because, you know, as Yankee fans, we're fans who do this show, right? So it's hard as a fan to watch this team do what they do, but then also as a podcaster and a YouTuber, you're thinking, "Oh, this is great for our numbers."
It's weird. It's a weird paradox that we're in because we come on angry, but I think people feed off the passion and they like it a lot. So it's a weird paradox that we're in.
Yep.
Let's go to Ruben. He has the first Fan Mail Friday question of segment 2. What would be a proper deal for extending Jazz Chisholm Jr.? I will give you this number that I've come up with. This is purely me. I haven't heard anything from anybody.
Okay.
I'm going to say 6 years, $110 million. That's $18.3 million per year. That's right around the normal price for a starting third baseman or second baseman in the league. He's 27 years old. He'll be 28 at the start of next year. Takes him to his age 34 season. Not too bad of a timetable. 6 years is a good deal to me. That's the deal that I would give him. 18 million seems like a safe number.
Interesting.
Do you think it's too low or too high by your reaction?
Too low. I was thinking 20.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the advantage they have in this situation is he wants to be here and likes it here. So they might be able to get him at a little bit of a discounted price, which they kind of need to get guys at because they have so many guys in their roster making a lot of money. But I do think if he's willing to test the open market, someone will give him, honestly, he might get to like 23. When you let other teams start bidding, this is what happens. The price just goes up and up and up. And for a player like Jazz Chisholm, who, by the way, analytical nerds love Jazz Chisholm Jr., that'll get him paid. It will. Yeah. So I think there's a chance he gets paid more.
So this is our final insider question from Andrew F. For Fan Mail Friday, how do you like this trade? Yankees get Ryan McMahon, Jake Bird, and some cash, and we give the Rockies Oswald Peraza and Cam Schlittler.
I don't think there's any chance they'd accept that. It's too low. McMahon is a legitimate starting third baseman, and Jake Bird is one of the top relievers that are available on the market this year. Yeah. Stacey also, they want to keep McMahon. The Rockies ownership loves McMahon. They want to keep him there. But even if he was available, the Rockies, they know the Yankees need a third baseman. So the price then goes up if they know that
they would want like Spencer Jones and
I think if you added Jones to that trio, I think it gets done. If it's Schlittler, Jones, and Peraza, it gets done. The problem with that is I don't know if throwing Peraza into any trade at this point does anything. I don't think any team wants Peraza in a trade because the Yankees are forced to DFA him, and if they don't, they're going to lose him in free agency this offseason. So there's no way. Why would anybody trade anything of significance for Oswald Peraza? There's no reason why you would get nothing out of doing that. So I don't think there's any reason why anyone would give up any piece of significance for Peraza. They would get maybe for a lower level single A player just to get him in your system for the last couple months of the season. But
even if he's like an add-on to a package, you wouldn't think.
Why would you? But he's free in 3 or 4 months. And if you're the Colorado Rockies, he's not helping you get into the postseason. So why would you give up anything of value
The Rockies literally just won their 20th game. They're not going to a postseason anytime soon.
That's my point, though.
Because ownership
not
is ownership meddles too much. They're cheap and they don't want to change. So I don't know why anyone would go there as a GM, because you're basically handcuffed and you can't do anything. So I don't know why any team would ever want to deal with the Rockies either.
You know what's funny is they're actually unbelievably terrible at running a team, because their payroll is like $160 million. They actually have a decently high payroll. They just don't know how to spend the money.
Is that mostly Chris Bryant? Is he still in the books? Yeah.
He's still not playing. But yeah, like that's the point though here. They know who's desperate. They have to be really careful with who they trade. But even for Peraza, why would any team acquire him? He's free and available in 2 months. Why would you give up anything of significance for him? So I don't think anything lands. I don't think anyone. It's going to take a lot to get those two pieces. A lot. Let's go to Mr. Highside on YouTube. He asks, when is Judge going to start getting his share of the blame? Yeah, Boone is a problem, but Judge is just as responsible as the captain for these yearly slumps. His comments are damning too, Stacey. After yesterday's game.
Between the wanting to keep Alex Verdugo, not allowing them to DFA DJ LeMahieu, some input that he has with the team. Like if he had it his way, Anthony Rizzo would be playing first base right now.
Correct. Right? 100%.
And I love Aaron Judge. I love watching him play. I think he's one of the best players that the Yankees have had in ever. Like, honestly, he's really good. But he has too much of an input on the team when it comes to that sort of thing. But I don't necessarily like him as a leader, because the things that he says after games are not, they're conveying like, it feels like he's taking after Boone.
He's drinking the Kool-Aid.
That he says. Yes, like they're way too blasé about this. You just went into the team that was in third place's stadium when this series began
and got waxed.
And they're now in first place and you're not.
And you got embarrassed, by the way.
You were embarrassed by them. You should have taken notes on how that team approached things at the plate and how they played the entire 4 games, because that's how you should be playing. And that's how Judge should be talking to this team, including himself, and like fire himself up about this, because I don't like this. I just think he's too passive. He's too passive. I need to see some sort of something from him, because, Derek Jeter did say the right things, but you could see in some of his post-game interviews, there was something there where you could tell that he wasn't happy with how certain things went. He would never allow anything like this to happen. And it's happening year after year after year after year. And even when Judge wasn't the captain, he was basically the captain because he was the best player on the team. Yep. And he was the guy that people looked to. And he needs to change this. He's part of the problem.
He's drinking the Kool-Aid with the rest of the organization.
It's just Boone.
The comments saying that this happens to good teams 2 times a year is blatantly false. This has not happened to good teams 2 times.
No, like teams will go through slumps. I mean, the Dodgers had a 5 or 6 game losing streak earlier in the season, but the funk that they were in didn't last a month. We're coming into a month of this now. Yep. This is not normal for a good team with a payroll over $300 million to have slumps like this every single season under this manager and with this captain.
And even if it was normal, don't normalize by making those comments.
Right. Whew. Okay. One of our YouTube regulars, Rivka Meiselman, 3375, says, the 1978 Yankee season used to be accompanied by the song It Don't Come Easy. Oh, yeah, Ringo Starr. What soundtrack would you ascribe to the first half of this Yankee season or any recent Yankee experience?
Love Dies Young by the Foo Fighters. I loved this season when it started, but, now it's dying off real quick.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a song. I'm trying to think of a song that conveys going up and down. You know what I mean? Like, because the only one I can think of.
Love Bites by Def Leppard.
Yeah, I was thinking of Love Roller Coaster, but that's like, a roller coaster of love. This is a roller coaster of horror right now, watching the Yankees.
Let's go to you. It's Luis.
No,
He says,
no, it's it's
yo,
Luis.
it's Luis. I don't know. It's tough. He says, hey guys, I've been listening to you for over a year now. Well, thank you very much. A big fan of how you guys tell it how it is. My question to you is, when will these guys wake up and realize they need to play with more emotion? It's frustrating to watch a dead team.
If they don't realize it now after getting swept out of Canada, then they're never going to realize it.
The problem, Luis, is they're contributing to their own demise, because the comments they make after games and the lack of seriousness they're taking this, that's a big problem too.
Next question is from Griffin233. Halfway into the season, what are your opinions on the Yankees' plan B in the offseason? Would you rather have the addition of guys like Bellinger and Goldschmidt, or have the lefty counterpart to Judge in Juan Soto?
It's a very good question, actually, because Soto's really picked it up with the Mets and he's playing fantastic, as we all expected. I do still think they're a more well-rounded team the way they are constructed right now.
Mm-hmm.
The only player I think they have on the current day roster, if Soto was also signed here, is Goldschmidt. That's it. I don't think that would have affected anything. There's no way Devin Williams would have been traded here because they wouldn't have been able to pay the arbitration clause. There's certainly no way they would have got Bellinger for the money that Bellinger's making. So I don't want to sit here and say that it's very different, but I think this team has more depth and is a little longer than it would have been with Soto here. I honestly do believe that, and that's not taking anything away from Juan Soto. He's a great player,
right?
But I think they're a deeper team still. So I actually think Plan B still is better than Plan A.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Let's go to Casey Cotreau 7050. What trades would you like the Yankees to make before the trade deadline? What trades do you think the Yankees will do besides returns from the IL? It's a great little tidbit to throw in there.
Yeah, that whole, it's like we made a trade deadline move when Luis Gil comes back.
That's not how it works.
No. And they're going to have to, because if Clark Schmidt's gone until 2027, I don't know. They have a lot of decisions. They have a lot of decisions to make now. Like this, if this is what we think it is, because again, forearm strain is something you never want to hear from a pitcher. That is the worst thing that you could hear from a pitcher. I think that's even worse than elbow pain, because elbow pain could be anything, but forearm strain, it's like, you're like, oh.
They're not, but they're not getting another starting pitcher. They're just going to have Marcus Stroman sign into that spot.
Yeah.
You're going to wait for Heel to get back and Stroman will sign into that spot. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'd love Yoan Moncada. He's had a pretty good year with the Angels. He's not great, but I think that's the best move you're going to make now. I think he's got something to prove. Playing in a bigger market, brighter lights would probably give him a little bit of jolt of energy. He's got the power in there from the past. That's the guy that I'd be after. Otherwise, I don't think you're getting McMahon from the Rockies. They don't want to move him.
Yeah.
And Arenado, I don't think Arenado's tradable at this point. I don't think he's getting moved. So the list out there is dwindling, and like we said, Stacey, teams know they need a third baseman, so the price automatically goes up. And if you're not winning a World Series this year, is it worth giving up a huge piece of the farm system to go get a third baseman? It's probably not.
Right. Next question is from Kevin Sweeney, K5C. Can we please fire Aaron Boone? This is 5 years now. I've started writing articles about the fundamental mistakes the Yankees are making. Can you tell Sully I wrote a book on baseball? Sure, because Sully will talk about that on his show, because he reads more than I do. I don't read. I have ADHD. I can't read. So I'm just saying I need audiobook and book in order for my brain to process what I'm reading. I wish I knew this as a kid, because then I would have bought books on tape while reading physical books, and I probably would have been a better student. And, it would have been great if my teachers knew in the 80s that I had ADHD, but didn't happen. I wish they're never going to fire Boone. I say this all the time. Yeah. Short of murder, he's never leaving.
He's walking away.
Yeah. Like, he's not going anywhere. Nothing this team they could win. They could lose the next 50 games. They won't fire him.
Nope.
It's ridiculous. Any other team would have fired him through this stretch, and 7.5 game lead, and then losing it and being bumped out of first place and just being in this funk where they just can't get out of it. I don't understand. Any other team would have fired him. And it's always the same thing when someone gets fired. Oh, well, it's the players playing. Yeah, I know, but there needs to be a change. We all know that there needs to be a change with this team, and it starts with Boone because they're never getting rid of Cashman. So where do you start? Boone.
This goes into attachment of a question from Alan Anderson 9685, who says, "You guys always say you want Boone gone. My question is, who would you replace him with and why?"
An inanimate object would be better than Aaron Boone right now. Okay.
I think the guy's in the organization. I think he's in the Matt Blake.
Yeah.
Matt Blake's ready to make that jump. Look at what he's done with the pitchers that he's taking control of. He's the guy that's ready to make that jump. That's who I would. Even a different voice in the room would help. It would at this point. It's the same nonsense back and forth every year. You need some accountability in there.
All right, coming up, 2 more questions for Fan Mail Friday, and then we will briefly preview the second half of the Subway Series, which begins in Queens tonight, next.
All right, Stacey, I guess I'll take this one because I'm a gentleman and there's a lot of reading here. Ambitious Monk asks, "Before I woke up today, I dreamt Anthony Vulpi was traded, didn't see what team, and then was subsequently utilized as a bench player. After last night's performance with 2 throwing errors, arguably costing the Yankees the win and the routine double play bobble in the Angels series, shall we end the tenure of Mr. Vulpi in pinstripes? His value is probably as high as it will go this season with all the RBIs and doubles, so trading him to a team that might need a middle infielder for an arm or a third base should be mutually beneficial. Peraza can take over him at short. Let's discuss."
I had a dream my brother opened a pizza place last night.
Interesting. So you're both thinking of really, really.
Although Ambitious Monk's questions from a couple days ago, because it was after Volpe's throwing miscues and what was it? The first game in Toronto? Everything's blending together. Was that the first game or the second?
Well,
game?
just to preview your thoughts, Ambitious Monk. He went into the next couple games, especially the last game of the series, also not hitting runners in scoring position. So he's continuing that trend. I'll say this, Stacey. The question that he answers himself at the end is, who's going to play for Vulpi when they trade Vulpi? And Peraza's fine to play the last couple of months, but after that, who's playing shortstop? Peraza's gone after this year. So
what do you mean, George Lombard Jr.?
Exactly. That's who you plugging in.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with those kind of things. You might be frustrated with Vulpi. You might want to move him now. I understand that, but be careful what you wish for, because if you trade him, you might have a literal nobody playing shortstop. So Volpi's 225 is better than Peraza's 157.
Yeah, true. And our final question from Morris83. "One of the most frustrating things about watching this team is how many runners we leave stranded on the bases. However, last season, the Yankees and Dodgers were 2 of the worst teams, leaving more than 7 runners stranded per game on average. Yet both met in the World Series. Can you explain why this team is so bad at advancing and scoring base runners? And does it even matter given the results of last season? In my opinion, base runners stress pitchers that's important come October."
Yes and no. I agree with you from what you're saying. But the analytical people running these organizations don't believe that. They don't believe that base runners matter. And what more importantly, they don't believe is putting the ball in play. And to your point on stressing out pitchers, base runners does that too. But also what does that is putting the ball in play. Making guys make plays is a big thing that stresses infielders. Analytics believes that strikeouts are the king. You want to strike out in every at-bat. And they don't believe in putting the ball in play. So I don't think that teams nowadays think about, stressing out pitchers and putting the ball in play. They don't think it matters. So that's an unfortunate answer for you. Not really getting what you want out of the question, but that's how it's run nowadays.
Yeah. It's just, the Yankees are good at getting guys on base, and they're just bad at getting them off the bases.
True.
I don't know what's more frustrating. Is it more frustrating when a team does that, or when a team does absolutely nothing and they just 1, 2, 3 innings and they can't get anyone on base and you can't get anything going? What's worse to you? Right?
I think the more frustrating thing is actually getting guys on base and not scoring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is crazy, but I honestly believe that's the case.
Yeah, because you're just sitting there going, why can't you guys figure this out? You've had years to figure this out.
It's terrible.
It's awful. It's awful.
Subway Series this weekend, they'll be wearing really cool hats. I actually like this year's Independence Day hats. The Friday game will be on, it'll be a 3:10 start. Stroman will go up against, I don't think he announced the Friday starting at the Mets. They're in, by the way, starting pitching hell. they have nobody available. Their guys are getting hurt left and right. They don't have anyone available. Right now, the website that I follow has James Hageman available to be pitching for the Mets. They called him up from AAA. He's got a good numbers in AAA, but not really great major league numbers. Okay. So that's who they called up. He's only thrown 6 innings this year in major league. So he'll go against Marcus Stroman, who's 1-1 with an 8.16 ERA, and it looks like Marcus Stroman will be in the rotation for the foreseeable future now. Saturday's game, it's a 4:10 start on FS1. That'll be Rodon, who's 9-5 with a 2.95 ERA. Right now he's slotted to go up against Frankie Montas, the former Yankee great, who's 0-1 with a 6 ERA, solid. And then Sunday's game, Stacey, will be a 1:40 start, nice and early in the day. That'll be Max Fried, who's 10-2 with a 2.13 ERA. Going up, so far they have it against Brandon Waddell. Not confirmed, though, so don't be surprised if that changes. Waddell, again, only thrown 17 innings this year. So the Mets have a ton of pitching problems this year so far. Their injuries are crazy. Just a little bit of tidbit, though, for all you guys out there. Yankees have Fried and Rodon going against the Mets in this series. None of the lines, the Yankees are not favored by anything over -150 throughout the entire series. That's really not a good sign for starts where Rodon and Fried are going. So we'll see how it goes. But, Citi Field, 4th of July weekend. Hopefully you guys can just watch and just enjoy the baseball games.
Yeah, it's hard to it's hard to look forward to anything after this past series. I was joking with some of the insiders because they're like, I don't know if I could watch. They were really struggling with Thursday's game. And I said, look, I have to watch this for my job. You guys don't. If you need a mental break, because I understand it. Baseball is a long, grueling season for fans. Okay. Yeah. I know it's long and grueling for the players, but we go through so many ups and downs with our team. And I think fans of other sports don't understand why we get as crazy as we do. And this is why there's so many games and it's just so up and down depending on the team that you're following. And I said, as long as you guys watch the show or listen, so you can, that's all that matters. If you need a mental break from the actual baseball game, we totally get you there. But watch the show and listen to the show and we'll let you know what's going on.
And tell everyone to subscribe.
Yes. Get everyone to subscribe to us on YouTube. And even if you don't want to watch us on YouTube, because I understand that, you can just listen to us on YouTube. You can play it like it's a regular podcast. Just put your laptop or your phone somewhere and you don't have to look at our faces if you don't want to. Just listen to it. It's perfectly fine.
Exactly.
Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. You get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gatsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys on Sunday.